Now in theaters for a little while, really, as I record this, is the new DC Universe superhero movie, Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the titular character, Black Adam, a character that I did not know. And we're just going to jump right into it here. So it's a character I'd never heard of, and from the trailers, which if you're watching this on TV, you just saw. If not, go look up the trailer. The trailer made this look really not good to me. The trailer made this look like another Dwayne Johnson giant, big, dumb, loud action movie with a lot of CGI and a lot of rubble and special effects and things being destroyed and something like that. That's the impression I got from the trailers. And it was a character I'd never heard of. And to me, DC, for my own taste, post early 90s, let's say, DC has not had a great track record for making movies that I want to see or I enjoy. I do love the Wonder Woman movies. Even the second one I thought I had a lot of fun with. I love Gal Gadot as that character. We're not talking about Wonder Woman. We're talking about Black Adam here. So that was all just to say that I went into this movie today as I record this. I just got back from the theater, really kind of not interested in this movie. Why did you go see it then, you fool, you fool? Well, you see, I have this subscription at AMC where I pay X amount of money a month, and I can see movies a couple, two, three times a week. So I do that because I like going to the movies. And this is one of those cases where going in with little to no expectations really paid off. I actually quite enjoyed Black Adam. I thought Black Adam was kind of a lot of fun. And I'd heard this from friends that it wasn't what the trailers made it look like. And part of I feel like my job in doing these is to tell you whether the trailers are honest or not. So the very, very basic storyline, because it ain't that complicated. In ancient times, ancient Middle Eastern civilization, the populace are enslaved by this king. He just wants it all. He wants this, I don't even remember the name. When it came up in the movie, he wants a special element that can imbue him in this crown he's building with the powers of the underworld, and he can, rule the kingdom and rule the world and all that. And I don't remember the name of it, but it is something along the lines of unobtainium. And when it came up in the theater, I tried to make a mental note because I was like, oh, it's a cousin of unobtainium from Avatar. Somebody rises up and is gifted the power of Shazam. I didn't know that, by the way, at all, that this character is directly connected to the Shazam lore, the Shazam movie, as it were. Got a trailer for the new Shazam right in front of us. Actually, I quite like the Shazam movie, too. And that was another movie, DC film, where the trailer, to me, looked terrible. I'm like, this is going to be the kind of movie I hate. And I watched it, and I really had a great time with Shazam. So Black Adam is connected to Shazam. He is a person who's been given these powers, and he defeats the king, and he is basically then never heard from again for 5,000 years until bad guys are in this land. Bad guys, mercenaries, have overrun the land, and they've been once again enslaved the people, and they're just trying to find this crown that's going to give somebody powers. They find it. Black Adam shows up, and all hell breaks loose, basically. Black Adam is not your squeaky clean superhero, which is kind of the DC way, has kind of become the DC way. That's part of my beef with modern DC films is they're not fun. They're like, everybody's dark and angry and brooding and has a chip on their shoulder and everything. And Black Adam certainly has that, but this movie does have heart and does have a good amount of humor in it too. So what the trailers don't really tell you, or at least the original trailer didn't really tell you, is that this is a Justice Society movie. Justice Society was one of the DC teams, sort of like Marvel has the Avengers, DC had the Justice Society. I think they had the All-Star Squadron. They had a few things, but Justice Society was this. And as a person who read a lot of comics as a youth back in the early to mid 80s, let's say, I had passing understanding of a lot of these characters. I bought a lot of DC comics. I bought a lot of Marvel, bought a lot of both. So it was cool for me to see some of these characters come to life for the first time, as far as I know, in live action on the big screen. And you have Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. Always great to see Pierce Brosnan in a movie. And Dr. Fate was always a really cool-looking character to me in the comics, so it was neat to see that in real life. You have Hawkman, who is always a cool character in the comics, and then you have two lesser known characters. You have Atom Smasher and you have Cyclone. Now, I did a little bit of research because my comic lore is rather lean at this moment in terms of what can become instant recall for me. And Atom Smasher apparently is a character that originated in the early 80s. Cyclone, I'm not sure. And Black Adam actually goes back to the 40s. So Black Adam was always part of the Shazam Marvel family, they call it, which is always confusing to me because a DC character is called Captain Marvel, and then later you have a character called Captain Marvel who's a Marvel character, and don't think about it too hard, you'll get a headache. Anyway, so you have more than just Black Adam in this film. You also have a surprise character that I won't say anything about, but if you've gone online, you already know about it. I already knew about it. Mid-credit sequence, as a lot of these superhero movies do. There's another minute or so of story that kind of pushes it forward a little bit, and a character shows up, and it's the kind of character that people like to see. And so basically you have the Justice Society trying to stop Black Adam, who's seen as this threat, this uncontrollable threat somewhere in the Middle East, and the people of the country Black Adam is protecting, saying, you know, he's actually good to us, so maybe back off. So it's a lot of superhero on superhero action. You get big giant evil going to cause the end of the world bad guy against our superheroes action, and you get a whole lot of Black Adam just flat out killing people, which you don't get, and it's treated in kind of a humorous way. Watching this, I sort of saw a lot of parallels, as is the case with so many movies these days. I always say, no offense to any screenwriters out there, I always say, in the old days, movies were written by people who had gone out and lived a life. They'd been to war, they had been journalists, they had seen all kinds of things, they had traveled the world in the seven seas, everybody's looking for something, and they would write movies based on their experiences. And now we have people who just watched the biggest movies of all time, or moreover, the biggest movies of the last 30 years over and over again, and it just keeps coming out again and again. So I really felt like Terminator 2 was a pretty strong inspiration for the relationship between Black Adam and the youth who helps him sort of find his way to a degree. And the way Black Adam just is flat out killing people who get in his way. Bad guys, always bad guys. And everybody is saying, you know, the killing part, you could probably avoid the killing part. And he's just like, that's what I do. So at any rate, much more of a fun movie than I expected. Effects are great. I saw this in IMAX. It wasn't shot for IMAX, but it's just a huge screen with good sound, so that was fun. And it was very impressive. The vistas and the effects and the tumbling and the rubble, this standard superhero rubble, and all of that were fun. Dwayne Johnson is always personable, although in this he's much a darker character. He's much more of a stern, angry, stoic character than he is in a lot of other things. So he's done a lot of smiling, which is kind of always my complaint with the DC movies, is like, I'm always like, you know, I want a Superman who smiles once in a while. But in this film also does, you know, if not name check, visually check a whole lot of the superheroes. So it clearly exists in a world where the people in this Middle Eastern country are totally aware that the rest of the world, or America, has a lot of superheroes. And it's kind of funny that it's a very well-informed kid, superhero fan, who is the one who helps guide Black Adam on his journey. I'm talking in circles at this point. So if you haven't seen Black Adam and you thought it looked dumb, you might still think it's dumb. I don't think it's a brilliant movie, but it had a little bit of heart, and it had some surprises in it for me, and I chuckled and or laughed at least 3 or 4 times, which is more than some comedies do for me. And it was fun. I don't mind. It's a character I don't mind seeing again, and they certainly sort of promise that you're going to see him again. Probably somewhat depends on how successful this movie is, but I would recommend Black Adam, I think. I would recommend seeing it the way I did, which was as a weekday or Saturday matinee, middle of the afternoon. It's pretty light throwaway stuff, and a good superhero time at the movies, actually. Black Adam.